Okay, guys, what an incredible interview we had between Andrew Callahan from Channel 5 News and Hunter Biden back on the scene giving his first really long form interview that we've seen. It was 3 hours long. I recommend you guys see it. It was truly incredible. I mean, he basically gave no F's, okay? To put it mildly, he gave no F's whatsoever. He was going off, he was using profanity, swearing, pissed off a lot of Republicans and many even Democrats. He was just completely uncensored. And I gotta be honest, guys, my impression from him was one, he cares about his father very much. It's very clear that he's very defensive of his father, and you have to respect that. So a lot of the things he was saying, of course, they come across as a little delusional in some cases because, like he said, oh, the Democratic Party backstabbed Biden, which is 100% true, but he's basically saying, oh, we should have stayed in the race. Like, dude, he would have lost the election almost certainly. But okay, fine. I understand why he's doing that. But I also thought a lot of other points he made was completely correct. I mean, number one, I mean, it was kind of funny, but he was right. Man, one of the things, I'm going to show you some of these clips. The first one where he basically called out Nancy Pelosi, giving some revelations how basically a lot of the Democrats did not want Kamala Harris to be the president, or like, they did not support Biden endorsing her whatsoever. Like Nancy Pelosi won an open primary, and we're going to play that clip. But for example, he called out George Clooney, who wrote a very profanity-laced statement, again, because he's the guy who wrote the op-ed calling for Biden to drop out, but basically said, who the F is this guy? This guy's not even an actor. Called on him because he was undermining the campaign. And he basically said he's a brand, not really an actor, basically going after him, agreeing with Quentin Tarantino's critique, which is basically, yeah, George Clooney's not an actor, which is pretty funny to see that. He also brought up the debate performance from Biden, which was truly the straw that broke the camel's back. And he basically said the reason why he was so poor was because he took an Ambien, which was not really known. He was on Ambien for the debate. That's why he was so tired and exhausted, according to Biden. Again, I still don't think it's really excusable. I mean, Biden was clearly just not. Again, if you watch the debate, I'm sorry, it's not a good performance for someone who's trying to be president for the next 4 years. It just was not. But again, he was defending his father, and you have to respect that to an extent. And he also denied the White House cocaine allegation, saying it wasn't him. And he's been sober. Again, some of the other really interesting parts of this, guys, is he was really talking about addiction, one that went viral, saying how crack is healthier for you than alcohol, which I'm not so sure about that, but it was pretty interesting. And he's clearly done very well for himself. Again, very uncensored, and he came across as, in my opinion, pretty likable. Like, if I was him, I would start a podcast. Like, seriously. If I was him, I would absolutely start a podcast. I don't know why he would not do that, but he denied the cocaine allegations in the White House. He said, but again, him discussing addiction was super interesting, and basically his journey, how it's been extremely difficult, but he's been going to a number of AA meetings, for example, and it was super interesting. So we're going to show you the first clip here of basically Hunter Biden going after the Democratic establishment, specifically Nancy Pelosi, and basically how he actually likes Kamala Harris, which a lot of people said that's not really true, that Biden did not like Kamala, but it seems like, no, Hunter actually did want Kamala Harris to be president. She was loyal to Biden, which was not really known, I guess, but calling out Nancy Pelosi directly here. Here's a clip, and we'll talk about it after. And by the way, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. It's super good for the algorithm. Please give us a subscription. My Patreon link is also down below if you want to support the channel in that way. Make sure to like, drop a comment. You know what to do. Here's a clip, and we'll talk about it after.
Ever endorse out of the gate, because he chose her as his vice president. There's no choice in that. And by the way, I love Kamala Harris. I think that she would have made an incredible president. I know that she was an incredibly loyal vice president, and she did everything that she could to support my dad, everything, and to support me and my family personally. I mean, I truly love her like family, and I think that she would have made an incredible president, and I think she ran an incredible campaign. You know who did not want Kamala Harris to be president and did not want her to be the nominee? Nancy Pelosi didn't want her to be. None of Nancy Pelosi's people wanted her to be. They wanted an open convention. They wanted a floor fight. They wanted I don't know what the hell they wanted, but they wanted to be the ones to anoint whoever they were going to anoint to become the next president of the United States.
Who do you think that would have been?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have any idea. All I know is that they definitely did not want Kamala Harris. And again, which undermined her, which undermined the campaign. You know, I mean, I look at these people and talk about, like, well, where were they? We had 100 days. She got 100. She literally was handed a $100 million check. She ran her ass off. She had an incredible organization, incredible grassroots organization. David Plouffe took over the campaign. You know, what did they do? Where did they spend their money?
Those camo hats, they thought were going to make the kids go crazy, but most of the kids are pretty Palestine pilled.
Look. Okay, guys. And again, I find that super interesting. I mean, first of all, calling out the Democratic establishment, basically saying, you know what, it actually hurt Kamala that a lot of the Democratic leaders did not immediately coalesce around Kamala. And if you guys remember at the time, most of them kind of did, except for a few people like the Obamas, for example, took several days to endorse Kamala Harris, which is super interesting at the time. And Hunter also called out a number of Obama people throughout the interview. And he basically says, the immediate non-support of Kamala from these people kind of hurt her campaign. Is that true? I don't know if I necessarily agree, but it is interesting to think about. And it is weird that Nancy Pelosi thinks she has the power to start anointing people. Like, Nancy, come on, your time is up. And I'm going to be fair, guys. At the time, I actually did think an open primary would have been the correct thing, because even if Kamala could have won an open primary, like at the convention, for example, which I think she probably would have won just because she is the vice president of the United States, and it would have been indicative that she is a strong leader and a strong person who can unite people, then maybe she could have come out stronger. But to her credit, she was also able to coalesce all those people immediately in the coming days after Biden dropped out. And of course, Biden's endorsement of Kamala was super big. And I think Biden only dropped out if the assurance was made that he would endorse Kamala. Because again, as Hunter is saying, they actually do like Kamala. Contrary to a number of right-wing reports that, oh my God, they hate each other, it seems like that Kamala actually was a Biden loyalist, which is super interesting to see. But calling out, not giving an F, as you can see, really railing into a lot of these Democratic Party figures here, which is super interesting. And again, he defended Biden's mental health decline, basically saying that, oh, we saw him age before our eyes. Yeah, but that is kind of the problem, Hunter. But again, he's basically, and he also brings up the fact, like, could you imagine if Trump, some of the things Trump is doing, we're going to show you a clip of this too in a second, Trump, where, he's at I think the G7, and he says he has a huge announcement to make tomorrow, and it's a flagpole they're unveiling, or if he dropped a bunch of papers in front of Keir Starmer, what people would be saying, if he fell down the stairs of the airplane runway, which of course he did, Trump did the same thing. There's not even close to the media coverage for that. But again, there kind of is a double standard with Biden and Trump as far as media coverage goes. There's no, in terms of the mental decline, because I think a lot of what Trump does is it just coughed up to, oh, this is how Trump is. He can be insane and do insane things. We're not going to cover it a certain way because he's just always crazy and insane, which is really not how the media should work. And he calls out Jake Tapper here, who wrote the new book, of course, recently. And again, he also goes after the Pod Save America bros, David Axelrod, again, Obama people, basically saying that, who the hell are these guys? You guys are junior speechwriters for Obama. And I don't necessarily agree with that criticism. Again, it's, they still have a right to talk. And again, they called on him to drop out after the debate, which I'm sorry, he should have dropped out after the race. He was not going to win the election after that race. He just was not going to. But it is kind of funny how he's calling out the David Axelrods, the Positive America Bros. And these are the Obama wing of the party, too. So again, you kind of see the Biden wing, the Obama wing, the Pelosi wing. It's not just as simple as, oh, the Democratic establishment. There are sects that we're seeing here. And Hunter is obviously in the Biden sect. But again, he's defending his father, and I do respect that to an extent. And again, he brings up CCOT, which of course is like the concentration camp where they're sending all these undocumented immigrants, basically saying this is insane. If I was a president, I'd call up the president of El Salvador and say, get these motherfuckers home immediately, or we're going to invade your ass. He was not giving a fuck, guys. It was pretty interesting to see. He should have literally started his own podcast. I don't know why he does not do that at all. But listen, overall, I thought the interview kind of just showcased his uncensoredness, willing to just speak out, not give an F. I wonder if Joe signed off on it. Seriously. It was super interesting to see. And I think, and a lot of people kind of liked it. Of course, a lot of the media, establishment media was like, oh, he's swearing, Matt Walsh and Charlie Kirk, shut the F up. You support Donald Trump and you're worried about Hunter Biden swearing. Give me a break. Super interesting. Here's the second clip we're going to show you, and we'll talk about it after, guys. Here we go.
The
Second
Declaration
clip.
of Independence and said, I'm against war. I think we could have saved 600,000 lives in the Civil War.
You look right up there. I don't know. See the Declaration of Independence, and I say, I wonder if the Civil War. It always seemed to me maybe that could have been solved without losing 600,000 plus people.
As if there's a connection between the Declaration of Independence and the Civil War. But can you imagine my dad did that? Can you imagine if he opened up that treaty with the Prime Minister Starmer at the G7 in Canada and all the pages fell out, and then he said that he just signed a treaty with the European Union with the Prime Minister of the UK standing next to him? Can you imagine? And then if he got on a plane and said the reason that he was going home early from the G7 is because he had a major announcement the next day, and then the next day he put up a flagpole? Can you imagine any of those things?
So you're saying...
Where the fuck is Jake?
Okay, and I think that's impossible to argue with. If Joe Biden was sitting down And there was a Declaration of Independence on the board, and he says, "Oh, the Declaration of Independence. The Civil War. It could have been stopped. All these people didn't have to die." People would be like, "What? What did he just say?" It would be the news cycle on Fox News for like a week straight. But again, it's not even mentioned on Fox or even in any of the establishment, like, quote unquote, liberal media services. It's barely even talked about just because there's a different standard for Trump. People just expect Trump to say crazy things, and it's not the same thing. Like, Joe Rogan's not going to bring that up. Of course not. But if it was Biden, oh my God, it would be he's mentally ill, he has to be out, he's senile, he's deranged, blah, blah, blah. And there absolutely is double standard. So I understand why Hunter is seeing this as a son, and he's like, what the hell is going on here? Like, it is genuinely insane. So pretty wild stuff. And here's the final clip we're going to talk about here. Basically, Hunter Biden talking about the Epstein files and Donald Trump's involvement, basically saying the simplest answer is Occam's razor. Trump's in the Epstein files. He's friends with Epstein. Melania was actually introduced to Trump by Epstein, according to Michael Wolff, the author. Pretty wild stuff. Here's a clip and we'll talk about
much of interest on there, or because he's compromised in some capacity by what's in the files?
I don't know. I truly can only go by what other people are saying. And one of the things that I'm certain of is that what I said before is kind of the Occam's razor, which is that, the simplest explanation is almost always true. And what's the simplest explanation is that of anyone in power right now, or anyone that held power, to the degree that Donald Trump is holding power now, his connections to Jeffrey Epstein are beyond a doubt that he and Epstein were very close friends for a very long period of time. They spent an enormous time together. They spent an enormous time together around young women, as in his own words.
Trump's got more pictures with Epstein than I do with my own grandma.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, just think about this. Is it when Ghislaine, how do you pronounce it?
It's technically Ghislaine. I know that.
Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell is when she gets convicted, and he's asked about it. And this is when he was president, 2020 still. And he goes, I wish her well.
I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well.
And then he explains that comment. Like, she's a good person, and I wish her well. Now, she's just been convicted of sex trafficking and, dozens and dozens of teenage girls. When he's then pressed on it in an interview after that, he says, I wish her well. I wish everyone well. I don't wish anyone harm. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
He can't wish anyone well on Christmas morning without sending out a tweet or Truth Social or whatever it is, blaming the leftist, socialist, communist Democrats and Joe Biden and blah, 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 blah. I mean, literally, on Easter Sunday, he doesn't wish anybody well. There's never been a time in which he's ever, in my estimation, wished anyone well, let alone a convicted sex trafficker.
Yeah.
And so what's going on there? Okay, well, they knew each other well. They spent an enormous time together. According to his biographer, is that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania. That's how Melania and the First Lady and the President met.
Really?
Yeah.
Epstein made the intro.
Yeah, according to Michael Wolff.
Yeah.
And so I only can go by what people are saying, and I don't know. Is the thing that is like I'm loath to do is like but feed into another goddamn conspiracy theory. It's just so destructive to the entirety of the cultural fabric. It's like, I think it's an important story.
Okay, so Hunter Biden thinks Trump's in the Epstein files. Hunter Biden thinks they're covering it up because he's in the Epstein files. And this is the problem I have with a bunch of other podcasters. Like, again, they're like, oh, they blame Pam Bondi, they blame Kash Patel, but they like avoid Trump specifically, which is just so weird to me. And it's kind of in the sense because Joe Rogan goes to dinner with Trump, that's why he's more afraid to criticize him. Maybe it's because of that. I mean, because again, if this was Biden, imagine what people would be saying. It would be he needs to be arrested immediately. But Trump, there's just a different standard. It's just a different standard. Look at all the reports, the Wall Street Journal reports that come out that Trump wrote him creepy letters about enigmas never ate. Like, what are we talking about here? But Hunter Biden, again, I think he's comes across as charismatic, and I thought it was a pretty good interview from him. I think if you're just like a normal apolitical person who's watching that, you're like, yeah, wow, this guy is smarter than I expected. Overall, super interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure to subscribe and like. Super good for the algorithm. We're trying to grow the channel. Please subscribe. Super important. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.